It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Gents and ladies, no time to waste. Don't be afraid, it's time to trade. Let's start your brains like high-speed trains. Storm these games like hurricanes. It's time to save this herd this days. Put on your cape and learn the phrase. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of TA with Mckay. My name is Mckay, and I'm in a good mood. We got the S&P 500 bounce that we discussed in yesterday's video as an idea/option, and it's basically what we were waiting on. And along with that, we had a little bit of a Bitcoin pump, and basically what it amounts to is it is go time. So we're going to discuss Bitcoin price a little bit, a couple of altcoins, and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So if you guys are liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go. Alright, no reason to try to be unique today. We're going to start where we always start, which is the SPX or the S&P 500. This is the 1 hour chart, and we discussed in yesterday's video that we were looking for a break of this falling wedge. Now it was at, support or near support. I had mentioned yesterday that it wouldn't have surprised me if we got one more push lower, especially where there was this low and a slightly lower low. But, one of the reasons I think was the catalyst for this to have finally broken out today, which it has. It's broken out, and it looks like it's even retested, or at least retested the moving averages that are right there, is if you pull up your RSI. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick for you. Double click out here. One thing that I did notice that I didn't catch yesterday is it had some divergence. So this is the 1 hour chart, like I said. And over here, you have a low and a higher low on the RSI. And on the actual price action, you have a low and a lower low. This is what's known as bullish divergence, or Class A bullish divergence. And, it just basically means that the price action and the RSI don't match up. The RSI is gaining strength, more or less in this case, as the price action was losing strength. So really, it just means that sellers were getting exhausted, more or less. And so you got the breakout we were looking for. Now, kind of what we're looking for now is just some continued upside. So the next thing to keep in mind, or I guess keep an eye out for, is back here you had this, double bottom. This was our last low, and then it pushed all the way up to here, right? Well, now we have this low. This wasn't quite a double bottom, but pretty close. Now we have the breakout and the retest. We need this next high to be higher than this high. So we need the price action over the next few days to weeks to push up higher than this, just to continue this uptrend, right, that we're kind of in at the moment. Otherwise, if we put in a lower high, well, then we can expect the next low. Let's just say we push up to like this area up here somewhere, and that's kind of where we top out. If we're not able to get higher than this high over here on the left, then what we can expect at that point is for the next low to be lower than this low, right? Because then we're just going to create kind of like a falling wedge, which of course would have a 68% chance at some point breaking to the upside. But really what we want to see for some bullish follow through, and obviously I can clean this up, but we won't worry about that right now, is just we need this next high to be higher than that high. Simple as that. And then next up, we've got the Bitcoin 4 hour chart. Now, the same kind of thing happened with Bitcoin that was happening with the SPX. It had some divergence. This is the 4 hour, and you kind of have this swing low here, right? And then this lower low here. You can put a little trend line across there, and then we'll go ahead and double click to bring up our RSI. So you had a low and a lower low there. But then down here on the RSI, you had a low and a higher low. So same exact thing as the S&P 500. You had some bullish divergence on the 4 hours. So that's what's playing out right now. What we want to see just for some more bullish follow through, same as the SPX, is obviously for the SPX to bounce and continue higher like we talked about. Bitcoin's consolidating right now kind of around 41K. 41K was an important level we discussed yesterday that we needed to flip back as support. If we were to lose it, as long as we only lost it briefly, say we head back down and retest 40,500, that's okay. But we need to get back and stay back above 41,500. A daily close above 41,000 would actually be pretty bullish. I think our daily candle closes here. Let's actually pull that up real quick. Our daily candle closes in 2 hours and 45 minutes-ish. And if we can just see that stay above 41K, that would be a big deal to me. I just think that's kind of the beginning of potentially a push higher, right? Like I said, consolidating right now below this next level of resistance, which is around 42,000. But if we consolidate below that, even if we were to pop back down here, say, and, retest something around, like I said, 40,500, kind of just come back up, I could see us doing something where maybe underneath 42,000, we kind of create a little ascending triangle, right, over the next day or two, and then eventually hopefully break that, retest, and head higher. And just like the SPX, so we have this low here, right, and this was a higher low. Then we have this high up here. The biggest thing over the next week or so is we want to see this, you know, push its way up and put in a higher high, you know, up here towards the top of this trend line, something like 50,000. That was something we discussed yesterday. If the SPX did break out and continued to push higher, that it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin was able to make its push up to 50K that we were close to last time, but this might be, you know, the time that it finally happens. All right, and before we hop over to an altcoin that I'm watching, I want to also just point out quickly on the daily chart that this level that we're consolidating below right now, around 42,000, just want to show you the importance of it on as far as daily candles go. So you can see that back here, when price was able to get above it and retest it here, that it pushed from, you know, 42,000 all the way up to around 46,000 right here, right? You can see that when it lost this level, it, you know, plummeted. And then, you know, you came back up here, lost this level again. So this level doesn't act as very good support, but it is strong resistance, as you can see here. Here it peaked its head above, lost temporarily, but it was able to break, retest, and that's when we had our last push to our 48,000. So we need to regain that level. You can also see over here on the right with the VPVR that it sticks out. That's kind of a very traded area, because this indicator over here on the right, which is the VPVR, it stands for the volume range profile, and it's just kind of showing you volume but on the side. And so you can see the further this sticks out, it just means that it has a lot of trading volume. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's more buyers or sellers, it's just a combination of a lot of it. There's a lot more action that happens around this price than, you know, these areas where you can kind of see these little cavities, right? These are areas that price action moves quickly through. So basically, if you could think of it this way, this next area above that sticks out is up here around, you know, 44,000, right? So if we can break 42, flip it as support, then we're, you know, we can expect to push up to at least 44,000, and that would be our next level of resistance. So what I'm watching for over the next day or two is just if we can get a candle close, a body close above 42,000, of course a retest, and then a move higher. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our coin of the day we're going to discuss, and that is VRA, or Verasity. Now, one of my subscribers yesterday in the comment section asked if I'd heard of VRA. I guess it's a coin that he's holding, and I have heard of it, and I've also even traded it. Just short-term trades. I don't hold on to it long-term. I don't hold on to anything really long-term this time of year. I'm more of a, I guess, day trader in a sense. I'll mid-term hold things, which is kind of what I'm looking for right now, as Bitcoin's showing some sign of strength, and, you know, obviously the SPX, as we discussed earlier. So, you know, this is a coin that's on my radar. And, you know, after looking back into it, and just kind of show you guys real quick how I kind of look into a coin to see what they have upcoming. I usually like to go to CoinGecko.com first, type in the coin. I like going over here where it says Twitter. That, of course, pops up their Twitter. I like to see kind of just what they have upcoming. And right here it says, on 13th, they put, "We're pleased to reveal a sneak preview of Veracity's upcoming NFT marketplace, or the Veraverse." They're partnered with esports, which is obviously a big deal. They have strong backers, strong fundamentals. And this NFT marketplace thing that's supposed to be coming later this year is going to be a big deal. From their website, I found their roadmap, and of course you can see that for 2022, that, you know, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 are just completely stacked with news, which is obviously a good bullish thing to see. Buy the rumors, sell the news. So as long as there's news, you know, there's a reason for retail people to get in and buy. And then, of course, us traders just look at the charts. But one of the biggest things is quarter 3 later this year, you've got this NFT, like I said, their public launch of that marketplace. So we're going to hop over to their chart. Now, right off the bat, this is the daily chart. And I just kind of want to point out a couple things. So basically, similar to Bitcoin, obviously, ever since it put in its first, you know, high back last year in April, I believe it was. And then its second high in November. You had this high, right? You had this low. Then you had this higher high back in October of last year. And so right now we're kind of in a consolidation pattern, which is what this triangle is. A triangle is basically just a series of higher lows but lower highs. It's kind of like the markets, the bulls and the bears. I think I always consider this pattern a battle between the bulls and the bears. They're trying to figure out what is a fair price for this, you know, crypto in this case. before it, either goes down more or pushes up. And so these are some of the best patterns you can trade because they have what's known as an apex, which just means the pattern eventually comes to an end. But as long as Bitcoin doesn't have a huge pullback, which I'm not expecting over the coming weeks, basically this pattern more or less is what you see at the bottom often of a rounded bottom or consolidation, where eventually it will break out of this, retest, then you kind of start to get an upward movement of a upward rising channel, eventually a break, retest, and push higher, right? So this looks like it's putting in the low. So you had, like I said, back here you had the high, the low, the higher high, the lower high, and so now you're just trying to look for entry on this coin to potentially ride up to what we'd hope to be the next higher high. Now, will we get that far? We don't know that. You never know when you first open a trade exactly where it's going to end up, but biggest thing is you find entry, you dollar cost average in, you set a stop loss, and you go from there. So we're going to kind of zoom in a little bit and kind of show you how I plan to trade this coin. All right, we are zoomed in on the 4-hour chart, and I went ahead and took away the trend lines. They're really not important. In fact, patterns themselves really aren't as important as price action, right? Like the pattern just kind of tells you kind of what price action is doing. When I had it drawn, you could kind of visualize that more or less it's putting in these high, lower highs, essentially, high, lower high, lower high, higher lows, like I said, consolidation pattern, right? But really, we don't care so much about the pattern. We care about price action, and in a lot of cases, ranges, right? And what I mean by ranges is down here at the bottom, you can see clearly it's bounced a bunch along here. It did wick as low as here, bounced here. So this is obviously the strongest support, but clearly it wicked below at one point. So you can kind of consider this the range low. And then up here you had, rejection, rejection, rejection. So you can kind of consider this little box, if you could visualize it, as the range high. So what we're potentially looking to do is accumulate down here and at least ride it up to the top of the range, right? If Bitcoin plays along. So the way you would trade this coin is you could either do your 15% or you could do your 35%, just depending on how aggressive you want to be, since we are near the bottom of the range. But let's just say you do a 15% now. We'll wait and see kind of what Bitcoin's daily candle does, and I'll update you guys on Twitter. But let's just say you were to enter now, and then you have another buy order set down here kind of at the top of this bottom of the range. So you enter now at around 21, and then you have a buy order set down here just around 19, right, as kind of your 35%. And what you're looking for now at that point is to ride this, midterm, short term, at least back up to the top of the range, which would be, you could take profits here at about 20%. In fact, when we redrew the triangle kind of in there, that's kind of, you can visualize that as being maybe, this trend line somewhat. So that would be the first spot you'd want to take some profits, or at the very least move your stop loss at that point to break even. So that way, no matter what, you can't lose money on the trade. And then what you'd be looking for after that, or let's just say you sold half of it or moved your stop loss up, then of course you'd be looking for this to break, flip around 23, we'll say 20, what is that? 26, sorry. 26 is support, and then ride it higher. So I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter, but the way we want to trade this coin to begin with is just the range. We don't know. We have to kind of assume that until it's able to break above that trend line and push higher, or break especially above this range and push higher, you're just trading the range, right? And that's kind of what I guess day trading in a sense is just kind of in and out, securing some profits. It also looks like it has the potential to be a good midterm hold, but what we want to do is just kind of open up the trade at 15%, have a buy order set down here. A stop loss I would recommend would probably be something down just below this wick, kind of below where this buy order is going to be. Just in case you're sleeping or something and Bitcoin decides to take a big old dump, you could have a stop loss down here just under 18, just to protect this buy. And I think that's something between 10 and 15%, it looks like. Let's double check from where price is now. Yeah, about 15%. That's a pretty common area to have a stop loss. So we'll just kind of keep you guys updated on this coin, but definitely one to keep on your radar is VRA. We'll just finish up today's video by reminding everyone to use proper risk management. Should you choose to open up any positions on any of the coins discussed in today's video, or any coins for that matter. And if you're new or newish to crypto or trading in general, maybe check out my playlist. I'll leave a link in the description. How to trade. In that playlist, I teach you kind of trading view, how to set up charts, how to find key levels of support, resistance, and more or less just give yourself a better idea of where to buy and when to sell. So if you're new, I would recommend checking those out maybe before you actually decide to open up any positions on coins. just because this market has a habit of taking, people's money, and especially newer people, and we just want to protect you from that. So that being said, if you're liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. It's TAwithMMK.